Hello, everyone. This is like a special edition, a very special edition
A very
of,
a very special episode.
of Auto Asphyxiation. This is Lark.
And Kimberly,
Yes, and we've had there. How can we start this off? Like, there were a neo-Nazi white supremacist black metal show that was happening in Garfield. That's in Bergen County. Um, and this is run by Cal Powell. And that's a whole hard name to spell or say. Kyle Powell. He's a manager of Kep Productions, and a member of the band Engorge. Uh, and according to Southern Poverty League and everybody who knows, he's a
every
big neo-Nazi black metal um person. And this is something and the concert was held. It was called the Vengeance Concert or Vengeance Metal Festival,
it was
but
3 days.
it was 3 days and they ended up instead having it in Bloomfield at the VFW.
Yes, there was a lot of outcry when they first publicized that they were going to be playing in Garfield. And they canceled the club canceled the show because of the outcry. And they secretly, quietly rescheduled the show in Bloomfield at the VFW.
Yeah, and a lot of people are kind of like, well, why didn't they know? How didn't they not know? Et cetera, et cetera. And I legitimately feel that most people don't, when they hear black heavy metal, they don't think it's going to be about racism.
No.
And also, on the other way, a lot of people, when they hear skinhead, they automatically think everybody who's a skinhead is a racist.
Yes.
And this is not the case. It's a again, we're not saying you should know.
Oh,
It
no, absolutely. No, we don't
is,
expect like the average listener to know the subculture genres and the subgenres and the further subgenres. Like these are like, we don't expect you guys to have a working knowledge of this stuff.
no, because why would you? It's just kind of like what's the difference between hardcore, punk, and skinhead? There are many layers, and I would like for Kimberly to just kind of like talk about the different kinds of skinheads there are because we all know, not we, but the general public just knows about essentially their knowledge of skinhead is American History X.
Yes. Oh, or what was on like Geraldo Rivera, Phil Donahue, Sally Jesse Raphael, so the skinhead subculture is a British youth subculture that started in the late 1960s. A common slogan is the spirit of 69. And it is actually heavily influenced by the Jamaican ska scene. It's a working class subculture, so that's where you get the like uniform, if you will, of boots, cuffed pants, cuffed jeans, nice, form-fitting shirts, bomber jackets, close cropped hair so that your hair didn't get caught in factory equipment. And a love of soccer and certain genres of music like punk and a subgenre of punk called oi. Hardcore also comes from that. It wasn't until this is a subculture that's directly influenced by Jamaican immigrants to England. So the basis is absolutely not racist. If you've ever listened to ska music, and uh, ska music is all over the place at this point in time. Ska music came from Jamaica and directly influenced the start of the skinhead subculture. And skinheads also grew from a different subculture called mods. But I'm going off base.
No,
Um,
no, but that's important because the thing is that from what I remember, the mods it's like skinheads were people who were like the mods. You had to they had scooters and it's kind of like you had to have money, and
yeah,
so skinheads were like, oh. I don't have money to have these scooters. If you saw that movie, I forgot what it's called.
Quadrophenia.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like, wow, that's expensive to keep doing that. But a skinhead, all you gotta do is shave your head and have some bracers, and you're part of the culture. You're part of the scene.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like it was much, there's a much cheaper entry point as far as like clothing and stuff like that goes. Your most expensive thing is like your first pair of Doc Martens.
It's between like basketball and like tennis.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But from so the way that it the way that white supremacy became part of the skinhead subculture is because in the early 1980s there was an influx of a lot of immigrants into Britain. And as we see in our own nation now, what does the far right party do? They blame the immigrants for everything.
And then you had Margaret Thatcher and austerity, so it was kind of
Yes.
like a perfect storm. It's like
Um,
we're cutting stuff, and that's because we have to keep the immigrants from taking all your shit.
Yes, and there was a party called the National Front, and the National Front actively recruited skinheads. They formed punk and oi bands. They actively recruited skinheads because skinheads were working class, and under Thatcher, the working class suffered the most. And the young working class people had absolutely no hope whatsoever. So they were really easy to grab while they were young and convince them that it was the immigrants' fault. And that's how you got the injection of white supremacy into the skinhead subculture.
Yeah, so this is like, I mean, so I just kind of want to give that brief history of like, how skinheads started off and how there are different kinds. And we'll later on we'll talk about Rash and Sharp, and the different like people who start to stand up against that part of it. Because some
Yeah.
people are saying, oh, it's apolitical, but the thing is that no music scene is apolitical. Even when they're apolitical, they're still political.
Yes.
They don't realize it. So again, that part of it, the hate music. But the thing is that KEP Cape or Cal EP or KEP Productions is still part of that hate line. I think
Yes.
the thing you have to kind of look at is not so much the genre, but the content of the music. Because same thing with like metal. All metal music isn't racist, but there are music. The shape of the music in regards to it is it's about the content of what they are saying.
Yes.
And I think
You
that
have
that's
you have to listen closely to lyrics. You have to be able to, the average guy on the street, or girl or what have you, does not know the symbols of white supremacy and what to look for.
and the thing is that for us who do know, it's up to us to actually teach you that,
Yes.
because they depend on you not knowing. Um,
Yes. They
it's
absolutely do. They
because
have that's
they're not getting played. Okay, I would say MTV is gone, but it's because of the decentralized. It's very decentralized. There's no like single label. It's not like, oh, they're this label, they're not this label. There are people, I guess the major players are Kep Productions, KEP Productions, United Riot Records, Tinnitus Records, Beat Street or BEASST Productions, Empire Falls, and also too a lot of these names kind of look like, oh, alternative record label, and it's that's on purpose because they're trying to trick you, they're trying to hide.
yes.
So one of the things is like they like selling T-shirts. Another way that they communicate is through apparently Telegram. And they use like eBay to sell their stuff.
Yes.
So it's not like people are kind of like, well, wouldn't you know? You literally, the thing is this is that a lot of people wouldn't know. People go, well, wouldn't you Google it and you would see? But here's the thing.
You have to go deep into the
Yeah,
Googles.
they're not gonna say, "Oh, hi, my name is Todd, and I'm a skinhead, or a racist skinhead, or I do hate music, or I'm a Nazi." No one's doing that.
No, nobody does that. You really do, like, you have to, I will tell you and our listeners a funny story. So one time I went to an Oi festival in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and the like a really big band from England was supposed to close the night called the Foreskins, and a riot happened. A riot happened because Allentown, Pennsylvania has a lot of Nazis. And but generally people were keeping themselves separate from one another. Nobody was intermingling. It was a very big venue. As we were like saying, we were like the Nazis knew their place. Like they stayed in like one small area and didn't commingle. Well, the band that went on before the Foreskins were supposed to go on played a Screwdriver song. Screwdriver is a very well-known white power band from England. And the Nazis just figured it was a field day and a riot started. That was a lot of fun. Genuinely, I'm not joking.
No, no, no.
It's interesting to be in a riot every once in a while in your life. But when the riot police came in and they stood on stage, the riot police couldn't tell the difference between who was a Nazi and who wasn't a Nazi. So, like, if police officers can't tell the difference, it's your average person on the street is not going to be able to tell the difference.
No, and I think in a way it's kind of like this, oh, everybody's suspect. You can't suspect because how do you build community when you start off everybody is horrible? You can't that's really like not an effective way to suspect everyone. And because it actually isn't everyone. And the thing is they are trying to build a thing where okay, hate groups are trying to make the community not trust each other because if people don't trust each other they can more easily recruit. They can
Yes.
go, see, they don't like you, we like you should come and join our fold, because that's the whole thing. This isn't about getting it isn't about people to enjoying their music. Like Kyle Powell, which I cannot, it's so hard to pronounce. Kyle Powell, his goal is not to get people to listen to his music. His goal is to get people into the hate community. And
Yes.
so every time you talk about him, every time, I'm not saying, and here's the thing, because of the internet, because of the way we are, we actually do have to talk about him now. It used to be a time where you could just go, oh, we're not going to bring him up. We're not going to highlight him because that's just going to give him publicity. But you guess what? We have to bring him up because now we have to let people know these are the people that you should be looking for, or these are the
Yeah.
signs that you should be looking for, or here is the music that you should be looking for. And that doesn't mean like every single heavy metal concert, every single punk concert. That's not what we're saying. We're saying it's about content, it's about community building. So some of the smaller bands are some of the more effective bands who are online, building online communities of hate. And go ahead.
And that's a really like right now we have a perfect storm in the country. We have a male loneliness epidemic. We have white supremacy rearing its ugly head in law and in our administration. We have men pushing traditional values on women, or there's wife camps popping up all over the place. These things are insidious, and they're designed to be insidious, exactly like you said, to make people not trust one another so that they can get these young men to gravitate towards them. Like, hey, we're outsiders too. Come hang out with us. It's just like getting involved in the punk scene, but with a insidious, disgusting, hateful message.
And I think that that's the thing. It's like here's an interesting point. It's like people are kind of like, well, if we think you're one, we have zero tolerance, so we're just going to like not talk. Well, that's the whole thing. You can't sit and anybody who, oh, well, I listen to something or I look a certain way, and then you just don't talk to them at all, and then essentially you push more and more people who are already isolated into these scenes. You have to make sure that number one, we're all talking to each other, we're all communicating. And I think that alternative scenes now, because of the way things are set up, those of us who are in alternative scenes, we do have to actually have conversations. We do have to challenge people and push back. I
No,
mean,
we
I think this is
absolutely,
something.
that's always been our responsibility in an alternative scene to police our own scene, to call out and single out Nazis, abusers, sexual assaulters, what have you. That's always been our responsibility to police our own scene, to keep the scene safe for everybody.
And I think this is, and in some ways, not try to like, talk about other things, but the abuse of women in these scenes. There are people in, the abuse of women scenes, the abuse of in lots of sub genre scenes, whether it be punk, metal, hip hop. There is a epidemic of abusing women in a lot of these scenes, and it's kind of like we have to have the same kind of vigilance that we have about racists as we do about women abusers. But let's
We
go ahead.
absolutely do. Like, I've, like I'm involved or was involved in the punk scene, and there's things that you see and it's just disappointing.
Yeah, it is.
Frankly, it's
Yeah.
just disappointing. You like people like present themselves in a certain way. They say that they're about something, and then, oh, look, there's a Nazi here. Why aren't you doing anything about it? So it can be very disappointing, and oftentimes it falls onto, unfortunately, the women in the scene. I know that you've probably experienced this as well, and then we get labeled as drama queens. So, that's fun.
Well, no, I mean, if you could think about the Riot Girl scene, and think about Kathleen Hanna and all the issues she had, where she was trying to, like, and the Riot Girls in Washington State and all these things, and essentially where they were involved in riots. I mean, men tried to fight them because they were like, "Hey, you can't touch women. Hey, you can't be racist. Hey, you can't do. We could do whatever we want." And I think that one of the, to kind of go back to the why anti-racist skinhead matter is because we have to make sure that these subgenres which attract people who are marginalized and historically excluded are not ground recruiting grounds for hate groups or misogynist hate groups, whether that's hating women, hating black people, hating Jewish people, hating immigrants, hating South Asians, hating East Asians. These are all the targets, and this is something I think we have a sharp skinheads against racial prejudice. We have rash, red, and anarchist skinheads, and these are people that are actively against that actively are against racism. And the thing is that people are like, well, the music is apolitical. There is no apolitical music.
There's no apolitical art, there's no apolitical music, there's no apolitical Star Wars, there's no apolitical Star Trek. No, just stop. Art is political in and of itself by its existence.
And the thing is that a lot, especially in these scenes, it's kind of like when they know that people, okay, the way cults go to colleges and go and target lonely people, hate groups go to subgenre cult music and art and all that stuff, and reading groups and recruit. So this is why we almost have to be more vigilant than mainstream groups, because
Yes.
the thing is that not only are they these hate groups coming to the scene, they're they're actively lying. Like if you talk to, like, right now, when you talk to when they interviewed Cal in the NewJersey.com, he's like, "Oh no, I'm not racist. It's just music. I'm not," and it's just kind of like, and then people are kind of like, "Well, how did they get tricked? How did the VFW get tricked?" And you're just kind of like, well, because he lied. He lied. That's what they do. They lie because
Yeah.
they know that people aren't going to accept them, or the that's the whole thing. The one thing is great is they know the average person isn't going to be cool with it. So that is why they lie. They
Yeah, they
lie
lie.
because anybody who's over 30, sorry, over 25, they're going to lie to them.
Yeah, no, they absolutely are, because that's how they get into spaces like that. They lie. I mean, it's just. That's why like when when there's like so much shock and people are like, but how and why and we're gonna, we're gonna take down the VFW, like chill, they lied.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not. That's what like. Well, they should have back. Nobody does a background checks at VFWs. Like, have you? Where have you been? They don't have any money. I mean, I get it. I think I love the fact that people are like, oh, I'm anti-racist. I love that, but I also feel like, wow, you need to really like slow your roll. VFW doesn't have the resources to do background checks.
Yeah.
Who does that? That's just I'm saying I'm not saying they shouldn't do them. They clearly should now.
And VFW halls, I grew up going to shows at VFW halls. Like that was a common thing to go to punk rock shows because like your local band didn't get like played at the Pony or Asbury Lanes or CBGBs. They had to like start out at the VFW hall and like ice cream parlors and shit like that,
Well,
So
no, yeah, it's
it's
true. That's the thing so funny. The same people who are like, well, they should have background checks. They should see. The thing is that once you have background checks, once you have things like that, things start costing money. So then people who are like us who want to do events, we can't do events. We do events at VFWs because they have a low entry point. That's why we do them. So when you say, oh, they need to do all these things, do all this vetting, and do all this whatever, essentially you're saying, oh, the only people who should have music events are people who are middle class. So that means that working class people, that poor people, that we can never have a show, we can never do because we can't go to the Wellmont, we can't go to the Stone Pony. Like, oh, that's amazing, but that's never happening.
it's like that like even like your normal shows now are like out of reach. Like really, they really are. Like I looked at tickets to go see Social Distortion in September, and I think that for general admission at the Brooklyn Paramount, it was $75 for general admission.
Yeah, for the VFW, it's $5.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, and
And
like that's how kids go see music, or that's how I went to go see music.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, and this is the whole thing. It's like people are like, well, you and do you are you guys planning on giving a free are you guys planning on giving a space to do events? No, you're not, but the VFW does. But also too, you could give money to the VFW. So then when people do show up, they can be like, well, who are you? Etc. I mean, that is the whole thing. It's like we need to be a community. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be a situation where I have never talked to you before. The first time I talked to you is so I could cancel you. That shouldn't be
Yeah.
the first time I talk to you.
And like, people are always like, support the troops, support the troops. The VFW is literally the troops. That's
Yeah.
veterans of foreign wars. Like those are the troops. Like my grandfather was, I think he was like a co-commander at his VFW post. Like he was super proud of it. He got to march in the 4th of July parade. He was a World War II veteran, but like the VFW is a bunch of old guys sitting around telling war stories, and it gives them a place to relax and have a couple of beers and take a load off, and it's staffed by volunteers.
And one of the challenges is that the decentralization of the music scene, it's kind of like this. I think about the states' rights, home rule in New Jersey. And in some ways, yeah, it was kind of good that certain things got decentralized. But in some ways, when you decentralize things, you open the door for all kinds of nasty work. And the fact that there's not one place for you to go, the fact that people keep changing their names, the fact that people are bad actors, the fact that there are people who are willfully trying to trick people. Just kind of like when people who are recruiting for a cult, they don't go, "Hi, I'm in a cult.
Oh
Would you
no,
like to join my cult?"
not
And
at all. No, I got when I lived in California, there was a cult in town that had scooped up a couple of my ex-husband's friends. And I bumped into one of them in the grocery store one time, and she was like, like a zombie, but she just looked at me and she's like, "We have shows," and like tried to hand me a pamphlet, and I was like, "No, I'm good. Like I go to plenty of shows. I don't need to go to your weird Jesus shows."
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, but hate music, it is not entertainment. It functions as a gateway to extremism. It functions as a gateway, and so that's why we can't just go, oh, well, I'm just not going to go there. I mean, I think that's one thing people probably were like, well, why, if you know that this is happening at these festivals, why don't we just not go? Why don't we just let them have it? We can't let them have it because there are people who are trying to recruit in these scenes. So we have to be actually vigilant. We do have to go to different music. We have to go to all the subcultural genres, and we have to, especially in a way, I think as older alternative people, we kind of have to police these venues, and we kind of have to continue to stay in the scene, and we do have to continue to go, hey, you can't do that, you can't abuse people, you can't do hate music, or this band is, because Callow's not like a young chicken, young spring chicken anymore. So we got to be like, oh, that person's not, because the thing is that when there's new people that pop up, it's kind of like they're connected to older people. Like, oh, they get brought into the scene. So if we are not there policing the scene, if we are not there saying, standing up, not being actively anti-racist, we're not being actively feminist, we're not being we essentially are saying we're ceding ground and we're allowing hate groups to simply just have that. And the answer, no. And the other answer is, oh, well, we just cancel all music. No,
And we can't do that either because there's
that's not a response because the more underground they are, the more we're not going to be able to find them. So it's
yes,
kind of like we're in a situation where it's like you think, oh, well, if what we do is we just won't talk about it. We'll ban all music except for like pop music. And then it'll go away. No, it won't go away. It'll pop up somewhere else. It'll pop up in writing groups, and it does. You have this reactionary extremism in writing groups. Yeah, people are like, what? In literary groups, in art scenes, in all kinds of
oh
things, in
it's an
in
it's in
religion.
it's insidious.
Yeah, so should we stop?
It's
Should we stop
insidious.
church? Should we
Yeah.
stop religion? Because they go there too. Should we
The
stop? So it's just this whole idea. Oh, we could just not have it at all. Are all Christians racist?
no.
No,
Like
no, no. Are they all racist and sexist? No, but I mean that's the same argument that a lot of people will make with the punk and metal thing. Well, aren't they all? Well, is all Christianity? Unless you want to argue that all we should get rid of religion too.
yeah.
Unless you want to argue that if you feel that, oh, we should get rid of punk and heavy metal, as long as we get rid of church too, as long as we get rid of Christianity, if that's your strategy, because I promise you the hate groups are recruiting more people from the Christian denominations than they are from a few heavy metal and punk concerts that are going on. Just so you
Yes.
know.
Yeah. It's our responsibility as people in the alternative scene to continue to police it. But it's also especially white people's responsibility in the general public to shut shit down when you hear it. If you hear somebody being fucking racist in the grocery store, tell them to shut their mouth. Literally. This is not a time for politeness anymore. This is not a time for I just need to mind my business. No, if you actively hear somebody being racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, what have you, you need to shut it down immediately.
And this also includes on Facebook, next door. I mean, that's the whole thing I think that boggles my mind. It's kind of like we hate, but you'll be on the Facebook group and let people say all kinds of like racist, horrible things as if that is not also a recruiting ground for hate.
Yeah.
You're in groups that are actively hateful. Next door has been actively hateful. We've been to like different neighborhood groups that have been actively say little racist, shady things. If if this bothers you, it should bother you when someone talks about Montclair School District not having, no longer letting employees have their children go there for free, and someone says, "Oh, well, your auntie from Newark works at Montclair. You won't be going to school there anymore." But you accept that. You're fine with that comment. Oh, but
That that's racist, and
that's racist.
people need to say
And
something.
you don't. People
Yeah.
don't say stuff about stuff like that. People can make comments all the time about Newark, about the black people in Newark, about black people in East Orange, in Facebook groups, and then these same people will be like, "Oh my God, they had a concert, one concert. That guy who anybody who booked that concert must be racist. Well, you must be racist too, since you let that go on in your Facebook group that you're part of and you didn't say anything. Are you
Yeah.
should we also throw you away too because you didn't know, but let's if we're going to be that hardcore, let's be hardcore all the way around.
Uh, and that like anti-racism is, and I'm using that as an umbrella term for anti-hate.
Yeah.
It's an all-encompassing, you have to do it all the time. You can't just do it when it's convenient to you. You can't just do it when it's embarrassing to you. You can't just do it when you see it in the news.
Exactly.
You have to do it all of the time. You have to shut the shit down when it makes you uncomfortable. That's what really being anti-hate is the ability to shut the shit down even if you're uncomfortable about having to do so.
Exactly. It's not just when something gets publicized, it's when you see it on your Facebook group, your
And
next door, your Google group, your
these
community
places
forums.
are public commons now.
Yeah, they are our public commons. And we need to, but also too, we need community. If you look around and your group is, especially you're in Essex County, and if your group is like one cultural group, like you have no friends of any other culture. You have a party and literally everybody looks the same. And I mean they're like the same ethnicity. They're have the same historical background. You should start thinking about, hey, maybe I'm fostering a community of hate and not knowing it, because clearly I'm fostering a community of exclusion. I mean, anytime I have a party, everybody's there. Every time I have something, right, Kimberly?
Yeah.
You're gonna have there are gonna be black people there, there are gonna be Asian people there, there are gonna be Latino people there, there are gonna be white people there. I mean, I actively make sure that I'm not like, not like a check mark exercise, but I talk to everybody. I don't go, well, I can't talk to them because they're not the exact same thing as me. And I think that there's a lot of that going on in places that supposedly are so diverse, but you go to a private event, and you're like, essentially everyone is one, or I call it everyone's monoracial. That's the term. I don't really use it, but when people who are, there's a term called monoracial, but there are monoracial um 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 social groups, or essentially just not multicultural groups. And why is that still happening in 2026 in Essex County? That is essentially very diverse. I've always found it strange that in LA we kind of it's not as culturally diverse, but the social groups are more diverse. Here, you're more likely, if you go somewhere. If I go to a social event in Montclair, there's a huge possibility I'll be the only, not just the only black person. I'll be the only person of color in the room. That's not weird. That's a thing. So we have to really, think about that in our own lives. And with that, is there anything else that you would like to add, Kimberly?
I'll send you a link of some common like white supremacist symbols that people can look out for, like just kind of like a starter pack. Maybe you can post it in the comments or what have you.
Yeah, I'll try to put
Um,
this in the, like, put it in the, I don't
just
know.
so people can like, familiarize themselves with some more of the hidden symbols that are common amongst white supremacists. so that they can get an idea if they see a flyer or an upcoming event or something like that. Sometimes they hide those little symbols in there, and it's just good to know.
And also, too, what if you're going on a date or something and you see some guy and they have a t-shirt on, you think it's just a regular t-shirt. I'll tell you something.
Or tattoos.
If someone typically if someone has a bizarre t-shirt on or tattoos and they really like either music or writing or whatever, it typically means something. That's kind of why with the Graham Clatner thing, me and Kimberly were like, no,
Mm,
people don't just get it's not like it's just tattoos typically mean something,
yes.
especially tattoos of that size. But I have to say that was an ugly tattoo. Who did that tattoo? It was a very ugly, poorly done, horrible tattoo. But wow, to get that, that's really it was really ugly. I was
It,
really kind of shocked. I was like, some bad work. Anyway, with that,
we're glad to see him get his comeuppance, I suppose.
I know we have to do an episode on that too. I kind of like knew it was gonna happen, so
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even think about it, and I was like, oh yeah, of course. But then it's like, oh, that's the story. Like I'm like poor journalism. I'm like, we did that story 8 months ago. I guess we should revisit it. Um. Anyway, we will talk to you folks soon, and with that, good night.
Thanks so much for listening.